Leopard has never been just a main battle tank for Germany. Since the Cold War, it has represented a carefully calibrated balance between military capability, industrial responsibility, and political restraint. In the current security environment, marked by the war in Ukraine, the reinforcement of NATO's eastern flank, and the rearmament debates inside Europe, the emergence of Leopard 2A8, and the parallel development path toward Leopard 3 signal something deeper than a routine modernization cycle. They raise a strategic question that resonates strongly with a German audience. Is Berlin redefining its role as the backbone of European land warfare, or merely adapting pragmatically to unavoidable pressures? Leopard 2A8 should first be understood as a product of realism rather than ambition. Unlike revolutionary tank designs that promise dramatic leaps in performance, the 2A8 focuses on survivability, integration, and standardization. Improvements in passive and active protection systems, enhanced sensors, and deeper digital integration reflect lessons drawn from recent conflicts, particularly the vulnerability of armored forces to drones, precision-guided munitions, and persistent surveillance. For Germany, this approach aligns with a broader cultural preference for reliability and incremental improvement over disruptive experimentation. Leopard 2A8 is not intended to shock potential adversaries with novelty, but to ensure that Bundeswehr armored units can operate credibly within a high-intensity NATO framework. Equally important is the fact that Leopard 2A8 fits seamlessly into existing logistical and training structures. Germany has long been a central hub for Leopard operators across Europe, from Northern Europe to the eastern flank. By upgrading the Leopard ecosystem rather than replacing it outright, Berlin preserves interoperability, reduces training friction, and strengthens collective readiness. For German audiences, this matters more than raw performance metrics. The value of Leopard 2A8 lies not only in what it can do individually, but in how easily it integrates into multinational formations where Germany is expected to provide leadership without dominance. The emergence of Leopard 3 adds another layer to this picture. Leopard 3 is not a replacement for Leopard 2A8, nor is it a fully defined successor comparable to the long-term main ground combat system. Instead, it functions as a strategic bridge. The delays and political friction surrounding multinational defense projects have underscored a hard reality. Germany cannot rely entirely on future European programs to sustain its armored warfare competence. Leopard 3 reflects an insurance policy designed to preserve technological momentum while main ground combat system remains uncertain. The most striking element of Leopard 3 is the exploration of a larger caliber main gun, widely discussed in the context of 130mm systems. This choice is less about chasing firepower superiority and more about future-proofing. As protection levels increase and active protection systems proliferate, Germany faces a narrowing window to ensure its armored forces remain credible in the next 2 decades. However, Leopard 3 also introduces dilemmas familiar to German defense debates: heavier logistics burdens, ammunition supply challenges, and questions about sustainability in prolonged operations. These are precisely the kinds of trade-offs that resonate with a German audience accustomed to scrutinizing defense investments through the lenses of efficiency and responsibility. Industrial considerations are central to both Leopard 2A8 and Leopard 3. German defense industry actors such as Rheinmetall and the broader KNDS structure play a pivotal role in maintaining production capacity, upgrade pathways, and long-term support. Unlike countries that rely heavily on foreign supply chains, Germany retains a high degree of domestic control over its armored vehicle ecosystem. This is not merely an economic advantage. It is a strategic asset that allows Berlin to align military modernization with democratic oversight, labor protections, and export controls. For the German public, this industrial dimension often carries as much weight as battlefield performance. Leopard's significance also extends beyond Germany's borders, particularly in Northern and Eastern Europe. Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and several Eastern NATO members operate Leopard variants, creating a de facto armored community centered on German standards. In this context, Leopard 2A8 strengthens Germany's role as a quiet coordinator rather than an overt commander. Berlin provides maintenance hubs, training expertise, and technical upgrades, reinforcing cohesion without imposing political dominance. This model aligns with Germany's post-war strategic culture, emphasizing responsibility over assertion. Yet, capability alone does not equal readiness. The Bundeswehr's challenges remain well known: personnel shortages, ammunition stockpiles, training tempo, and bureaucratic procurement processes. Leopard 2A8 and Leopard 3 address the hardware dimension of land warfare, but they do not automatically resolve these systemic issues. For many German observers, the critical question is whether modernization efforts are matched by reforms in organization and funding stability. Without such alignment, advanced platforms risk becoming symbols of ambition rather than instruments of deterrence. Public attitudes in Germany further complicate the picture. Surveys and political debates consistently show strong support for defensive capabilities, particularly those framed as protecting national territory and allies. At the same time, there is enduring skepticism toward rapid militarization or open-ended escalation. Leopard fits comfortably within this mindset. It is perceived as a defensive tool, optimized for deterrence rather than expeditionary warfare. Leopard 2A8 and Leopard 3 therefore benefit from a level of societal acceptance that more offensive or symbolic systems might not enjoy. When viewed in a broader comparative context, Germany's approach to armored modernization stands apart. France emphasizes strategic autonomy and doctrinal independence, often prioritizing national design philosophies. The United States relies on overwhelming scale and global power projection. Germany, by contrast, prioritizes standardization, alliance integration, and industrial continuity. Leopard embodies this approach. It is less about national prestige and more about sustaining a functional backbone for collective defense. Ultimately, Leopard 2A8 and Leopard 3 do not announce a radical transformation of German military identity. Instead, they illustrate a careful recalibration. Germany appears willing to accept greater responsibility for European land defense, but only within a framework that preserves political restraint, social consensus, and alliance cohesion. Leopard becomes both a symbol and a tool of this balance. The open question remains whether this model is sufficient in a rapidly changing security environment. Can incremental modernization keep pace with evolving threats, or will Germany eventually be forced into more disruptive choices? For now, Leopard 2A8 and Leopard 3 suggest that Berlin is choosing continuity with adaptation rather than rupture. In doing so, Germany may indeed be redefining its role in European land warfare, not as a dominant power, but as a stabilizing backbone whose strength lies in reliability, integration, and long-term commitment.